kick-ass switch, putting the K in magic. I'm Joanna DeVoe, and you are watching another episode of Every Which Way. This time featuring, again, author of the Wicked Garden series, Lenora Henson. And I'm so excited that she came back on Every Which Way again today, because she's got her third book out in this Wicked Garden series, and she has agreed to let me interview her for all 6 books in the Wicked Garden series. And I think that that is so powerful because A, I've never seen that done before, and B, I think it's really interesting and inspiring to watch an author or just someone at the beginning of a really epic, big, long project and then follow their journey throughout the entire thing to the end. So I hope that you have watched the previous 3 interviews that I did with her, and if you haven't and this is the first one, cool! That's totally cool too. I hope that you check out the Wicked Garden series. I love it. It is witchy fiction at its best, and here is its author, Lenora Henson. Hi Lenora, welcome to Every Which Way again!
Yay! Hi, Joe. Thanks for having me back again.
Yay! Well, I have to have you back because it's time to talk about book 3.
Book 3, Beltane.
Yay! This is such a pretty cover. I just want people to see it before we get talking. Beltane.
Thank you.
And for people who have no idea what we're talking about, can you tell them what we are talking about?
Sure. We are talking about my book series, and it is a 6-book fiction series. It is called the Wicked Garden series, and it is witchy fiction or magical realism. And it started with the Wicked Garden. Here's book 1. Then we go to book 2, which is The Witches of Snyder Farms. And then book 3 just came out, which is Beltane, which you just showed. And it follows the life of Gretchen Bloom Shea, and she is a haunted woman.
Yes, she is.
Yes, and a witch.
And a redhead.
And a redhead.
Yay! I love your covers. I have to say that again. I hope you can sustain this for 3 more books, because now we have high expectations of you.
I know. I actually have to do another photo shoot this spring. My model is in college, so I have to wait until she's ready.
And threaten her. Never cut your hair.
The hair.
Yay. And you're the photographer as well.
I am. I've always enjoyed photography since I was little, and this was just a great way for me to really showcase that. And I self-published, so, kind of did it all myself, including the cover. Yeah,
so now that you're on book 3, do you feel like the self-publishing thing has gotten easier for you, or that you have a knack for it, or kind of a groove you've fallen into with that?
Definitely fallen into a groove. Mm-hmm. I remember the first book, it was like, oh my gosh, trying to figure things out on your own. You have limited support. Some support, but definitely limited. Definitely in a groove with it, and that last week when I'm ready to publish, I'm kind of in a zone, and everybody knows just leave me alone as I'm formatting and.
Yeah. Well, for people who are thinking about self-publishing their own book, because a lot of people think they have a book in them these days.
Sure.
What did you learn? What have you learned so far in this 3-book process so far? Like, what could go horribly wrong or did that you have figured out a way around? Something like that.
Okay, sure. Gosh.
Or just a little tip. A little trick, something that you've figured out.
Definitely double check for spelling errors.
Oh, very.
double check as you're going through the book. I think you just have to let go at some point and just let the baby be born. Mm-hmm. Margins are really important on the cover. A lot of people have their covers done for them, but it's totally something that people can do, especially with what is available on the internet these days. There's a program called GIMP, I think, and it's very close to Photoshop. So, it's totally, anybody could really put a cover together.
Well, not anybody has your talent for design and theme and color and all of that. But yes, sure. I guess physically they could actually do it.
Yeah, it may not look good, but they can do it. I tease. The capability, the materials are there for them to utilize if they wanted to educate themselves, and it wouldn't take a whole lot of time.
And what other program did you use? Did you do this through Amazon CreateSpace or Lulu? How did you do this?
Yeah, I typed the story in Microsoft Word, and then I transferred over to a formatted file to CreateSpace, which is through Amazon. They give you templates that you can even format the book into. Okay, so once you have it formatted, then you just upload that to CreateSpace, and the process is really pretty simple. It's about $100 for an ISBN number, and
which you have to have for people to measure the sales if you're looking to get a publisher one day or get into big stores. It's pretty important
to have that. And then the copyright's $35 if you do it online, which is reasonable. And that is probably about the lowest cost you can go. There's probably a couple other things. But then, if you wanted to do it with print, there's going to be the cost of the books, of course. And then uploading to Kindle. I even taught myself how to do that. So transferring it to Kindle.
Very cool.
Doable. It just depends on, what you're willing to take the time to learn.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you're pretty ambitious and ballsy and get it done kind of person, so you get it done. I'm very impressed. I'm wondering, I do have now I have a bunch of questions in my mind about that because I want to talk to you about perseverance, but before we get off the subject of Amazon, I'm wondering, you have some amazing reviews. As far as I can see, they're all top 5-star, love it, amazing, the dream reviews. Are you finding that people are finding you now through Amazon, or are these people that are finding you through social media and your own blog and word of mouth?
I think a lot of it is social media and word of mouth. I was surprised that Twitter has become kind of important, especially with Kindle sales. That totally surprised me.
Yeah, that surprises me too, because I don't see a lot of action on Twitter. I feel like I tweet something out and it's like, pee.
I think it's huge for writers.
Huh.
It's huge for writers, and, it's really business for writers. Goodreads, that is proving to be pretty important too. There are lists that you can add your book to, or that people add your book to, and you vote on it. And if you get in those top 5 spots, then your book is really visible.
Wow.
It's a lot of people, so that's helpful. Yeah. And a YouTube channel helps too, which I'm not extremely active on mine, but I'm going to do a lot more with that this year.
Okay. What kind of themes are you going to be doing? Are you going to be doing author series type of things? Or I know you have a program called Psyche Circle that's pretty much ongoing. One Psyche Circle leads into the next,
It does. And it's really a circle of women. And our main group is on Facebook. It's a secret Facebook group. And once you buy a module, then you're in forever. And it's really just a supportive group of women. I mean, they're just all amazing. It's superb, and you know that. And I have different modules throughout the year.
What are they about?
Probably every other month or every 6 weeks or so.
I meant the content. What is the content?
The content. Well, right now we're talking about sex, sensuality. It's usually about sacred things that women don't really want to talk about in an open setting usually. We've done sex. We have done, self-love.
Did you do a shadow work one as well?
Yeah, we did shadow work right before the end of the year, which, wow, we did some amazing stuff in that one. So, yeah, sacred intentions.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a great group.
So are your upcoming videos, are they going to be about that, or your books, or just kind of a mishmash of Lenora?
I think it is. It's all going to be umbrellaed under this Lenora aura theme, I think. And some of it may be Psyche Circle, maybe going through the sacredness and the soul work. Psyche Circle is really about soul work. The Lenora aura, I also want to add Ask the Author, which is something that I have people ask me questions a lot. And because you're right, I think everybody's got a story in them. And so I'd like to help people out a little bit. you know, I know it's kind of, it may seem like it's overdone on the internet, but I believe in taking a different spin on things. Yeah. And that's what, you know, be unique. And so hopefully I can offer some different kind of guidance.
I mean, when something's overdone, I feel like that's when people are just regurgitating the same information again and again and again and trying to be like everybody else. But nobody can be Lenora Henson but Lenora Henson. So, I mean, you're going to bring something totally fresh and new to ask the author. And I see the hunger for people to learn more about the books and what's going to happen next. And then just that curiosity about, well, how did you do this whole self-publishing operation? So I'm sure there's going to be plenty to talk about.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm excited about it.
I have a Psyche Circle request.
Sure.
I think you should put perseverance on the list, because I wanted to talk to you about that today, because to me, what you've done is persevere, and you've like really, I know you worked with the word thrive last year as kind of your word for just a motivational touchstone for the year, but that feels very much like perseverance to me, to get to that point of thriving and to finish and self-publish 3 novels in such a short period of time. Can you tell us your secret for perseverance?
I will try.
Or what does it mean to you, if anything? Maybe it doesn't resonate with you at all. I don't know.
Actually, it does resonate, and it's really interesting. Well, I love coincidence anyway, but the Mighty Oak, who is my fiance, Jim, we refer to him as the Mighty Oak, but he and I were talking, we like to have these deep conversations, and we were talking about the word perseverance last past Saturday, and I was like, well, wow, Joe and I were going to talk about that. And he broke it down as the reverence for perception is how he saw it, and I really had never seen it like that before. And he broke it down even further for it's the respect for how you see something or how you want something to be. So that resonated with me. Mm-hmm. I had a vision. I had a goal. You know, when I started this series 4 years ago, and it started very small, and it grew over time. It was this fire inside me. It was this passion. And, you know, I took quite a bit of time off from it. But when that flame relit, then I did start persevering. I had to keep my eye on, what do I really want? What do I really want to do out of this? Mm-hmm. And, you know, I always wanted to be a published author, and so that's what I did. I stayed true to my vision, mm-hmm. and I respected the way I saw how I wanted my life to be. And every day, it seems to be coming true a little bit more, so it becomes more authentic, that vision.
Yeah. I feel that, too, from following your journey. It becomes more real for me as an audience member. As somebody who's watching from the outside looking in, I'm like, okay, and here she goes again, book 3, and it's all done. It's not like slapped together, or it doesn't seem like it's coming from a place of ego, like, I need to be a published author because I want attention. Your passion actually seems to be for telling stories and writing. This story in particular is very detailed, and you really seem to love your characters, which helps us mm-hmm. as the readers love the characters. Yeah. So,
yeah, what my talent has always been, I think, and it's not necessarily writing, which I feel like I can write, but what my passion has always been is creating worlds and dynamics between people and animals or nature and situations. That's what drives me, and how they handle it. You know, and we're all flawed, so some of us don't handle it very well. Mm-hmm. And that's a story I want to read. That's, you know, that's what drives me.
Yeah, that reminds me of that.
Think themselves.
That reminds me of that whole thing about, like, write the story you want to read, and mm-hmm. it seems like you're doing that. And it's definitely its own world. Gretchel is the main character here, the redhead, but now we have like a teenage character that's really been stepping to the fore in book 2, And we're getting in book 3 now. I've only read a little bit of it because I just got it, but it seems like we're kind of doing a bit of detective work. It seems like there's like a mystery within the mystery now that's unfolding, and that's pretty exciting and fun.
Yeah, it seems like each book has a different layer to it. Mm-hmm. And, you know, as those layers unfold, each book asks some questions, and each book gives some answers, too. You know, of course, I leave you all with a cliffhanger at the end of each one. But
that's important.
Yeah, it's going to culminate eventually. And, you know, each one has some amazing surprises.
Yeah, you're talking about like a magical box in this one that I don't think we've seen in the first 2 books.
It was mentioned. It was mentioned briefly, yeah.
Okay.
And I think it's even in the prophecy.
Okay, yeah. Okay, yes, there's a prophecy that ties everything together, that keeps
Absolutely.
building steam, and that's part of the mystery. I think you did a really great job, too, of bringing readers back into the story and not hitting us over the head with a lot of boring exposition, sort of wrapping it in this, I don't mean this in an offensive way, but it's sort of like, you know, at the end of Scooby-Doo, they always do like a ton of exposition with all of the talking. I feel like you did that in a really clever, interesting way in toward the beginning, where they're talking about the prophecy and kind of putting the clues together. Mm-hmm. It really ties in what happened in the last book for the reader. Maybe for someone that accidentally picks up book 3 without reading the first 2, hopefully that can catch them up.
Yeah, and that's not easy to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, how am I going to, after book 2, I'm like, how am I going to start book 3?
Yeah.
Because I even though I have most of them written, 5 of them written, they have all changed quite a bit during the editing process. So, yeah, sometimes it's hard to start off the next one, but it's always exciting. Yeah. And you guys are just going to trip on book 4. Oh, my word. The end of it. Oh, my gosh.
Do you have a title for that one?
6 months from now.
Yeah, do you have a title for that one?
I kind of do, but I'm going to keep it secret right now because I'm not 100% sure. So let some excitement build on that.
Well, why is this one called Beltane? What is Beltane? Maybe people don't know what it is. Maybe some people.
Beltane is a celebration on the Wheel of the Year for pagan or witchy people, or if you celebrate the natural cycles. And it occurs around May 1st, and it is, I think it's a fire celebration. And this mainly happens around Beltane. So, and that is actually Gretchel's mother's birthday, too. So, that's the exciting part. It's also prom in here, too. So Amy is kind of torn. Do I want to go to prom, or do I want to stay in Beltane and protect my family? And yeah, I'm probably saying too much.
No, it's good. I want teenagers to know this is a book that they can read and be very interested in. I think they would be interested in Gretchel, period, even if there wasn't Amy in the book. But I think that Amy just makes it all the more enticing for some, you know, a teenager, an older teenager, because it is adult material, or a young 20-something, I think will really resonate with that character.
You know, during the book launch this past Monday, I asked everybody who their favorite character was, and a majority of them said Amy.
Oh,
and
I think Eli might be my favorite. Is that my answer from previous interviews we've done? I don't know. I like Eli.
Oh, yeah, me too. He's so swell.
He is. I like him. He's a good guy. And then Peter's very interesting as well.
Yes. I love Peter. He's one of my favorites.
Yes.
I love writing him because I get to act out these crazy things.
Yeah, be a little crazy.
Eccentric.
You know what's interesting? Did you plan this? That this Psyche Circle is themed around sex and sensuality, and so is Beltane, really, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't plan it
intentional. That way, but yeah, Beltane, you know, sexual freedom is the word for it, but sexual leniency or you know, it's a fertility festival. Mm-hmm. So a lot of things tie into it. And, you know, February's coming, or Valentine's Day, I guess. Mm-hmm. Be sexual. Yeah, it's all very sexual time.
Yeah, I know. We're doing our 4 on 40 talk next Monday, and that's going to be around sex.
Yeah.
We're
all snowed in. Maybe that's why. we are.
I think Beltane is a really fun sabbat to read into, the history of it, like the maypole and all of that, and just the fertility rites that people used to engage in back in the day. They were a lot freer and more wild than we are now, most of us.
Definitely. We're actually a pretty conservative nation. It doesn't seem like it, but and people get so offended so easily, and it's actually my daughter was mentioned today. She's like, "Mom, did you know the Olympics, during the first Olympics, they didn't wear clothes?" Really? It might not have been a big deal back then.
Yeah, I think it's our puritanical history. It's still there a little bit.
So,
and the wild woman, like that archetype, is something that runs throughout everything you do. When did you first get interested in that?
About the time that, actually before I started writing this, so probably about 4.5, 5 years ago, I read Women Who Run with the Wolves. It comes into your life exactly when you need it to. And, I totally resonated. As you know, it's one of my favorite books. And I am that wild woman. I am her. And, I let her free.
Well, what is a wild woman? What is that?
She is not afraid, I guess. Or even if she is afraid, she perseveres.
There you go.
She does it anyway because, and she does the work. She does the work necessary to heal herself so that she can make the world a better place because she has been here, I guess. And, for what she does is not just for herself, but it's for the greater good. It is the woman who, she doesn't take shit. Can I cuss on here?
Of course.
Okay.
Yes.
She has probably taken shit over the course of her life, but she reaches a stage where she's not going to take it anymore. And she, I guess, feral is when a woman is wild, but she's been caged for so long, and she's just coming out of her shell, and I wouldn't really call that wild. But wild is when you're living in the right environment. It's when you're nurturing yourself. And that's where I feel like I am right now, because I was in a bad environment for a long time, and I think many women are. We surround ourselves with people that don't nurture us, and we don't nurture ourselves. So when we're able to do that, we become wild. Our instincts are authentic again.
I like that word instinct, because I think for me, being a wild woman is about getting back to your natural self, who you really are, and not apologizing for who you are, and not bending and shaping and contorting yourself into what other people want you to be. I notice women start stepping into that in their mid-30s or their 40s. Some women not everybody goes through that transformation, but in my mind, that's kind of an ideal way to go through the aging process. And you see these women, they hit 50, and all of a sudden they are just hell on wheels, but in a really great way, where you're just oh, she has balls.
You bet.
Yeah, that's what I think of when I think of that. I think I'm like a wild woman in training right now.
You bet. Yeah. I think you're an amazing wild woman, Jo.
Oh, thank you. I think I'm just getting started. I don't know if I'm all the way to
to your potential. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I have more inside. The layers have been dropping off for a while, but I think there's still a few more to get through.
You bet. And I agree. It's in layers, and I feel like maybe I have that going on too. And that's part of growth. And it's a good thing.
You know what else I noticed is when I was reading your reviews on Amazon, we're talking about women, but men seem to really like your book too. I saw some really ravey reviews from men. Have you noticed a different reaction in what they think about the material or the characters maybe compared to what the women are thinking?
I think everyone is frustrated with Gretel.
Yes.
Well, I take that back. There are some women that really, really associate with her. They can feel her pain so deeply because they've been there. And then there's women and men that are just like, oh, I just want to shake her. But then they see how she is persevering to overcome her issues or what have you. It excites me when a man reads it and does have a good review of it. And I haven't heard any men that, after they have read it, that didn't like it. I think they're surprised because, it's a family story. And not like for kids to read or anything.
Not in a Disney way.
At the dinner table. It is a story about family, I think. And I think that's the common bond for one thing. And then there are some strong male characters in the book, too. So
I think it's about a dysfunctional family. And I think we all have dysfunction. So it may be a witchy, magical, psychedelic kind of dysfunctional, but we all have a little bit, I think, of that in our families, and that's something we can all relate to.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's interesting now, maybe, I hope I'm not giving too much away, but how in book 3 you're seeing the formation of a new family in a way as well. You're seeing like these broken pieces of family kind of like starting to merge together and commingle, or that's how it feels to me.
Okay. Yeah, from Eli's family.
Yeah.
And Gretchel's family kind of coming together.
Yeah, I'm jumping the gun because I don't know what's going to happen, but that's how it feels to me. Like we have these two very separate stories of these two families that you've been telling for a few books, and now they're starting to like interact and weave together, which actually happened in book 2 a little bit there toward the end.
Yeah, it did, and you'll see a lot more of that in book 3, and Diana and Gretchel don't necessarily like each other very well. Diana really frustrates Gretchel. They both frustrate each other, but
I actually really like that character too.
Diana?
Yeah. I like her. I can picture her in my head. She reminds me of like some 70s feminist, elitist. I don't know, but I find that very interesting. I didn't grow up around that, so in a weird way, I kind of admire those women from afar. I wouldn't want to be one, I guess, but I think they're pretty cool and interesting.
There's a lot of every character in me, and with Diana, there's quite a bit of her in me. And actually, I really modeled her after Anna Wintour.
Yes.
From Vogue.
Yeah.
I totally see her with the bob haircut and just being really strong and, get shit done kind of girl.
Yeah. There's something intriguing about that ice queen kind of thing, which is interesting because fire is such a theme throughout. Maybe she's the ice to the fire.
Maybe so.
Maybe the fire will melt some of her ice at some point. That would be nice to see.
Maybe so.
I also have a question. I don't think I've asked you this before. If people don't know, this is our 4th interview because I interviewed you before the series came out. I interviewed when the first book came out, when the second book came out. So this is officially our 4th, and I'm so happy you're letting me do this because I've never seen this done before where an interviewer got to trace the entire creation, of a whole book series. I think this will be really fun to look back on once it's all done. And you're a big famous author.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. It has been fun, and I feel like I've grown, even though it's only been like a year since we've really been doing this, or a year and a half or whatever.
Yeah, it's fun. That growth is fun to watch. It's a great service, too, that you're doing for other people who aspire to take this leap because they can watch you and get the courage up a little bit. The question I had that I can't remember if I asked you before, but what is with amethyst? Do you have a special interest in amethyst or a connection to that stone? It plays a part in the story, and it pops up a lot. Yeah.
I don't know.
You just randomly selected it or intuitively selected it?
I did. I really liked the word. I think the word itself has tremendous power.
That's interesting.
I don't know. I really can't tell you why. In my soul, there's probably several answers for it, but I really can't tell you why. But
that makes it so cool because amethyst is actually a stone that's used for sobriety. to help people get sober and sustain their sobriety. And I think that's what I was really wondering. Like, did she purposely do that, or is that just one of those beautiful synchronicities that fell into place? Because Gretchen, she has a variety. Actually, several people in the book have addictions going on, or maybe just they're a little too loose with the substances. So I thought that might have been purposeful.
You know what? That is one of the reasons. Now that we're sitting here talking about it, in book 1, she's wearing the necklace, and I won't say how she got it or whatever, or where it came from to begin with, but Amethystos is the maiden that the stone was named after, and I think it was Dionysus that was chasing her, and Artemis turned her to stone to protect her, and I think Dionysus poured wine over her, and which turned her that color. I think that's how the myth goes.
Cool. You have such an interest in mythology. Is it specifically Greek mythology that you're interested in, or you're Greek, right? Not Roman? I get the two confused. I'm not.
Yeah, I really
know
appreciate
a lot about
the Greek
them.
pantheon. Yeah,
Okay.
and which is funny because this is a very Scottish book series, very Celtic. But yeah, I'm totally entranced with the Greek mythology. But I am starting to. I like all mythology, but I'm starting to study the Celtic a little bit more too.
Why? Yeah. Why do you find mythology so... I don't think you find it interesting. You seem to find it important, like nourishing in some way, and I'm very curious about that.
That is the word. It's nourishing because I believe these stories and myth. I'm so big on symbology. Mm-hmm. I totally dig that. And these myths are really symbols for things that are going on in our own lives. So I think that these myths are really patterns. And if you study them, you can kind of see, where it's going. Mm-hmm. And, it can lead you to a solution and to an answer. So
very cool.
Maybe that's why I think they're so important. I just think they are interesting, but yeah, I think they're...
Yeah, you tie that into, I don't know if you're going to continue with the Oracle's newsletter you do, but you tie that into that. You talk about usually a different archetype, a myth in that, and then also in Psyche Circle, both incorporate that, and then it's all in the book.
It is. Myth is all over the place, and I really didn't know that I was so into myth until about 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. So when I really started to discover these things that I really liked, I was liking all the wrong things, the things that weren't nourishing me. And it turned out myth was very nourishing for me. Many years ago, I watched The Odyssey. It was a miniseries on TV, and Athena played a big role in that. And I was just captivated by the part that Isabella Rossellini played her part.
Oh, I love her.
I know.
And I was just sitting right here. I'm sorry. This.
Oh, yeah.
I've never seen this. I'm so sick of hearing people, talk about this. Like, it's so important and they loved it. And you can't get it on the internet. You have to get the DVDs. So I own this, people. And I would like to tap into this whole thing that you seem so passionate about and so many people we know are with the mythology. It's the Myths of Avalon. I don't know if you could see that.
Yeah, actually, I hadn't seen it either.
You haven't?
I haven't.
Darn it! Why don't we live close together? We could totally watch it together. I'll send it to you when I'm done.
Well, I did watch it, though. Over Christmas break. The Mighty Oak and I decided to watch it one night. So that was the first time that I had seen it.
So what did it do for you since you've now become kind of a myth expert? Do you feel like...
Well, it was basically the story of Camelot, and I guess I didn't realize that, but, I've heard that story before.
Yeah.
It's the Merlin story, too, and it's been told many different ways. It was cool to see a movie with the goddess in it and everything, and the old religion. I don't know if it was that earth-shattering for me, but...
Oh, really?
It was,
well, dang.
Yeah,
this has been an ongoing thing with me now for quite a few years, and I don't know if it's actually going to happen to where I feel an interest in the goddess and the gods and mythology, all of it. It just does not resonate with me. And then I talk to you, and you're so enthusiastic about it. You have so much passion for it. So I keep trying and dabbling around and seeing if something will stick.
You know, and I think we've talked about this before. I do see them as archetypes and energy patterns, behavioral patterns, guides. They're not, I don't necessarily that I would say that they're actual deities or, it's very hard for me to explain, I guess. Mm-hmm. But
I think different things turn different people on, and at different points in your life, something can really like light your fire when you didn't even give it a thought earlier. Like you were saying, you found all this 5 years ago at the right time, and it really spoke to you. And
sure. And you know, people ask me who my god or my goddess are, and I have a ton of them because I do. I mean, Sophia is my main goddess that I work with, and Aphrodite, and here I'm going to start listing a bunch of them.
You're a deity slut, Lenora.
Sophia and Hermes are really the two that I work with the most, and it's their energy pattern, it's their guidance that I feel like I get, or that they give me when I open my mind and tap into that energy. Mm-hmm. And if you're not listening, then you're probably not going to hear it. Mm-hmm. You know, every now and again you'll get a tap on the shoulder, a brick to the head, like, hey, listen. But that's, you know, that's just it's the universe, and you can call it whatever you can call it whatever you want to. But that's what it is. It's just different energy patterns.
I've always felt that way about pop culture. Even back like 100 years or so, I can get a lot from that as well. But in general, like modern pop culture. So maybe somebody will read this and have a similar like resonance with the characters, and it will launch them into a whole other phase of life.
Maybe so. I know I've had some women tell me that it's really helped them.
Yeah.
That and I was really kind of moved by that. Mm-hmm. Because Gretchen, she's gone through some tough stuff.
Yeah, and she's got 3 more books now to.
She does.
Hopefully,
and
get her courage up a little.
Yeah, and maybe tell her story.
Mm-hmm. Well, I always end with asking people something like their kick-ass tip for creating whatever. What would be your one kick-ass tip for tapping into your ability to persevere, to really like connect with that word, especially if you're in need of persevering, if you're at the beginning of a project like this, or you're in a Gretchen situation and you need to find your way out? Like, where should people begin?
Who do I want to be? Who am I? You know, if I pulled all these layers off and get to the bottom of it, who is this person? What do I want to say? Mm-hmm. And then sit down and say it.
Right. That vision. I forget what the Mighty Oak said, the words he was putting together, but that vision that pulls you forward.
Yeah. That respect for, let's see, reverence for the perception. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Respect your vision.
I love it. Thank you. Thank you for talking to me again. I can't wait to talk to you when book 4 is ready.
Hopefully summer solstice. Maybe.
Already?
I don't know. Maybe so.
Oh, my goodness.
What I'm hoping for. If not, July.
Okay. All right. Yay. Okay. Thank you. Much love. Peace.